Welcome to Sim Racing Cribs. This is my simulator setup.
What's going on, guys? Sim Saturday. A lot of people ask questions about the setup, so we're actually gonna do a walk around video / discussion. I can't keep my hands off Moza FSR, but stay tuned. We just gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about some of the different equipment he's had over the years. Say what up, Josh.
What up?
What up, what up, what up? So, stay tuned. Okay, so, I've been having a few comments here and there, and thank you guys for, joining in on our conversations, but a couple different comments have been pros and cons with this base versus this base, talking about the pedals, and Josh here has had a lot of different setups, so, before we go into detail about each part of it, I guess we'll start with the wheelbase, right? So
yeah,
now you have Semicube.
Yeah. So to put it in perspective, when David's had gone through like all of the wheelbases that you could possibly think of, I started on Thrustmaster TMX. From the TMX, I went to a T300. From the T300, I went to a Fanatec CSL Elite. From the CSL Elite, I went to a CSW 2.5. From the CSW 2.5, I went to a Logitech G923. Then I went Fanatec GTDD. Then I went DD1. Then I went Semicube 2 Pro.
Real quick. So I'm always gonna laugh when he mentions that GTDD. So let me tell you, that was the first game, and this is the console thing. That was the first game. Gran Turismo was the first time me and him really raced together. I would come hang out, but we never done a settle course on the PS4 or PS5 rather. We never done Forza. Out of nowhere. Obviously we homies now, but at the time, it wasn't very often that we FaceTime. And he got a FaceTime. It was a slow day at work. I'm like, I can step out to take this call. This guy, even though he had the GTDD on the way, because we were getting into Gran Turismo, he went out of his way to get a Logitech. For how long did you have that wheel for?
I had a Logitech for 12 days.
He got a Logitech for 12 days. Got his money all the way back. Full refund and everything.
I sure did. Yep.
But he FaceTimes.
Shout out to GameStop.
He FaceTimes me on my head. Oh, you thought you was gonna get away with one? Cause you thought you was gonna beat on me with the controller? Or you got the wheelbase? Nah, I ain't going for that.
The thing about GT7 is David and I had been waiting for it for a while to come out. So, and me and David never had a game to play together because
I didn't like Gran Turismo Sport.
Yeah, you didn't like GT Sport.
You didn't do nothing.
I didn't have a wheel at the time because I sold all my wheels to pay for college.
That's right.
So, because I sold my entire setup, finally I bought another PlayStation wheel. And I couldn't let David. I knew me and David were going to play because we've been talking about racing together for a while. So, but that's when I knew David could actually drive.
It was funny. So, y'all know I taught this dude my GT3 racing line at Spa. I have had the NSX GT3, and he had the Mazda. And that's when I realized the fictional cars in Gran Turismo.
Right.
I was
low key heated.
Low key, I was high key heated.
Low key heated, bro.
I was high key heated. Not because he was like, oh, I don't like Spa. I'm like, what? Man, he followed me, and then we started that next race, and he smoked me, and I was like,
yes, sir.
Well, that doesn't usually happen.
Yes, sir.
So then we went to Daytona 24, and that was when I realized how much faster the Mazda was.
On the bank.
I used to say that thing ran on goat sperm, or like it was something.
Hopes and dreams.
It was a fictional engine, a fake rotary. And then I found out it had no turbos, which made it even worse.
With that being said, though, I think I'm qualified. Well, I'm an idiot, but I think I'm qualified to talk about something like this. So, going through the setup, the way we have it right now, and I've had a lot of cockpits and everything back in the day. I had a DD1 on a GT Omega Art, if that shows you anything.
I will put the footage of... Before you go into it, I will put footage of when we first got that DD1 DD1 V3s, and I'm only bringing it up because it showed up in my Snapchat memories.
Yep.
But I'll put the clips of the DD1 right here.
Yep.
And then it shows the V3 pedals and the GT Omega Art. But go ahead and continue.
So I've had different seats. I've had everything, the whole nine. So. Right now, here's what we're running, guys. We're running a Track Racer TR160. I figured, out of all the cockpits that I've had in my entire sim racing, meets playing sim racing, I've always gone for some reason cheaper cockpits and then stronger wheelbases and then better pedals, which makes literally zero sense in what's going on. But that's the way I did things. So. I decided that I'm going to go big or go home on this, and I'm going to...
just be done with it.
Just be done with it, yeah. The biggest... with this setup, the biggest goal for me was end game, so that, in my head, I don't need to spend more money on anything. But at the end of the day, we all know that I don't really think there is an end game. There's just, this has been my goal for years. And you can ask David, I've told David... what I wanted, if I could dream spec it out, and this is exactly what I wanted.
Yeah, so. He's wanted the Simicube for a while.
Right.
I think one of the turning points for the chassis was when you came to my house.
Yes, I
because you had, and the art did okay with the DD1.
It did better than what I expected it to.
Well, no, it did okay with the CSL DD. The DD1, it was like, oh, we're out of our element here.
It would shake a little bit. Just a little bit.
A little bit. But anyway.
So with that being said, we have the Track Racer TR160. We have, driving it all, we have the Simicube 2 Pro. 25 Newton meter wheelbase. The fidelity in it is absolutely insane. Everybody asks me if it's worth it switching from the DD1 over to the Simicube. In my opinion, and throughout all the wheelbases that I've had, the Simicube 2 Pro is the one wheelbase that it changes the game. It completely changes the game.
Yeah.
You can when we first drove it, you could feel the ABS in the wheel. It completely changes the entire game, guys. That's just my opinion. A lot of people say if you close your eyes, you can't tell the difference. I promise you, I could have told the difference night and day with my eyes closed between the Simicube and the DD1.
Now, you know what triggered it for me was how good AMS2 felt.
Oh, yeah. Right.
George is going to say, yeah, screw that game. But for me...
Right.
Horrible.
For me, that was... I'm not going to say the first time it felt like a sim, but it felt more sim because of the wheelbase.
Agreed.
Now, one of the questions that came up was pros and cons of the Simicube versus DD1. Now, keep in mind...
So, with the pros and cons in mind, just sorry to interrupt, but there are pros and cons to both.
It is only 2 Newton meters apart.
2 Newton meters apart. Well, no, 5.
25.
DD1 is 20.
Oh.
Yeah, 5.
Okay.
Which, not a big difference either way, but...
At all.
Pros and cons, guys. You can't tune this on the fly. Like, there's no screen on it or anything to where you can tune it. The DD1, I really did enjoy messing with the force feedback, the spring rate, everything like that on the OLED screen that it had. However, in this, what you have instead that you can do on the fly at any moment is just go into the software and download a profile from your favorite I don't know, sim racing person. We all watch sim racing.
Be it boosted media, Dan
I can go on Assetto Corsa. I can even go down to my wheel type. But hold on here. If I go to online profiles, I can go to iRacing, and then I can type in. You already see it right here, Dan. I can type in Dan right here, and then Daniel Murad will come up. Dan Suzuki will come up. And they have multiple stuff here that you guys can go through, and they're rated. People rate these profiles. So my profiles, I kind of download a couple profiles from the people that I trust, and then what I'll do is I'll tune the profiles to make it better for me and what I enjoy feeling in a wheel. But again, that pros and cons thing, while I was sad to get rid of the DD1 and how you can tune it on the menu, I think this is much better, and every sim company should do this.
I think
they don't have to do this software. They don't have to. All they have to do is make sure that this works. And that's it. But they went a step ahead and beyond, and they're like, well, we want our users to be able to do profiles. And that's the crazy thing about this to me.
I think that's the coolest thing. Like, you know, it does make the difference knowing a real driver had success with it. Like, don't get me wrong, like, it's cool to pull up Boosted Media's page and be like, yeah, so he did this fidelity, he did 100% gain, you know what I'm saying? But to be able to pull up, you know, Tony Kanaan or dance, you know, that extra difference makes it that much more. One part I will say, for a more mainstream, less niche product, you know, the DD1, obviously you got console compatibility.
Right.
And then you can double down if you do like an Xbox wheel attached to a PlayStation base. Yep. So it really just depends what level you want to go.
The wild thing for me on this SimiCube thing, though, is I'm used to only setting 5 profiles for the DD1, because that's the max you can set is only 5. I can set as many profiles as I want on here. Just because I'm flashing it to the base. I'm making it on the app and then flashing it to the base. So I have 2 profiles for almost every game.
Yeah.
So I got one with the GT wheel, one for the Moza. I got one for the GT wheel here for Assetto Corsa. I got one for the Moza. Like, I can flash it whenever I want to.
Real quick, I meant to ask about the screen. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah. So
just briefly.
This is a Samsung
49.
Yeah, it's a 49 inches. The CRG 9N or something like that.
Neo
so it's
or something.
Not quite the curved one that the G9 Odyssey has, but it's a good enough curve.
Oh, that's the difference.
Yeah, the G9 Odyssey has like a significant curve. Like, it would probably come to like here.
So the G9 then is similar to the LG that I liked.
Correct.
Ah.
So the curve is definitely, like, you see how this is a slight curve?
Yeah.
The Odyssey has like a curve. Like, it comes to here.
So
it's pretty crazy.
I'll put a little image in, little mini video. The LG that I was looking at, you know, I just bought my monitor for Black Friday. If money was no problem, if I had like a great graphics card and money was no problem, I would have got that aggressive LG. But
so it's 165 hertz. It has a 1 millisecond response rate. It's 1440p. 2560 or 1440p, so it's 2K. Everything I wanted in a monitor, essentially. That's typically what I run in my monitors. PC's in the back on the stand. It has a 3070 inside it, a Ryzen 7 3700X, which is an old CPU, a very old CPU at this point. But it just goes to show you don't need, you know, a 13900K i9 or anything like that to run these games at max settings. I mean, I'm running these games at max settings at 2K, and I'm getting over 100, you know, 120 FPS, and that's awesome. That's all you need. You don't need something crazy to run games like this, you know.
All right, pedals.
No, yeah. So these are brand new. I just got them not too long ago. These are the VRS Pro pedals. VRS came out with some pedals for sim racing, actually. And they've actually been going through these pedals for a while.
Virtual Racing School.
Yeah, they've actually been revising these pedals for a while. So this is version 2, if I'm not mistaken, of these pedals. Version 1 came out a while ago for like beta testers, and then they went ahead and they were like, we need to release version 2. So these are pretty cool. If you see the spring on the gas pedal, it's a little strange, but this is probably one of the smoothest throttle pedals that I've ever used in my entire life.
One of the things I noticed, you angled it differently versus if it was flat, it would be angled a little different, but because you tilted it, it's almost straight on.
Right, exactly. And I feel like I have more control like that, too. Just a little bit more control.
And again, these are all individually mounted because, I mean, when you buy the stronger rig, it's going to have the 80-20 mounting.
I mean, these pedals are so crazy that on the brake pedal at max force for me, the pedal plate creaks. Doesn't shake, it doesn't flex, but it does creak.
Yeah.
So, and then tying it all together, I always had reclining chairs back in the day. I used to watch F1 and do other stuff while, I'm sitting in the cockpit. You kind of
hang out, hang back,
and just chill, and just lean back. But I sat in David's GT seat a while back at his house, and I realized that my back with the leather seat would kick back a lot from the swinging motion of being able to recline.
When we did the GTE video, that's when
I kind of realized it. So
I think that next week or 2 weeks later, you ordered your GT seat.
Yeah, and so I ordered the seat from Track Racer as well. Track Racer is a really good company, and this video isn't sponsored by them or anything like that, but I do have to say they're a fantastic company. Most of the time they email me back whenever I have a question next day. This cockpit, this rig has a 5-year warranty on it. But on top of that, this chair, just a quick story, I went ahead and I bought the chair, and then their Black Friday sale started significantly early, like really early. And it was 2 hours the sale started after I bought the chair. So I emailed them thinking that, it's my fault and I get
Shot in the dark.
Maybe they could refund me some of my money or, do something. Total shot in the dark. I wasn't expecting anything back. Track Racer actually gave me a coupon for the difference of the Black Friday sale from this, and it was like $80. So I just have an $80 coupon just sitting there. And they don't have to do that, It's my fault I didn't wait. But at the same time, they're such a good company that just the experience that I've had with them, I'll use them forever.
I would also agree with Track Racer. I don't have a story like that, but I've had my rig a long time, and I've definitely stepped on it harder than... I talk about pedal plate flex and all that. He asked me how hard I was stepping on the pedal, and he was like, bro, you don't need to step on it like that. Like,
I feel like David's pedal at one point was stiffer than even these VRS pedals are set right now.
Even when I had the rubber brake mount, I was stepping in like. So for me, like, I got nothing bad to say about them.
But yeah, everything in this rig was thoughtfully picked for me, again, as endgame. But not only endgame, it was carefully picked with customer service in mind and warranty in mind. So with that being said, Fanatec is an awesome company. They are fantastic. It's just so hard to get a hold of them. It's just so hard to get a hold of them. SimiCube emails me next day.
Yeah.
Or the day of.
Yeah.
The Huskenveld pedals that used to be on here, they emailed me twice in one day, and they're from the Netherlands. Got me a load cell in 2 days from the Netherlands. Track Racer emails me every day. And they're just down-to-earth guys. Like, you'll see the president and the CEO of Track Racer comment in Facebook posts sometimes.
Yeah.
So everything was carefully thought of and planned just that way.
No, I get that. I guess my last talking point. Besides the FSR, which is kind of relevant. Diameter.
I totally forgot about this in the video.
I don't know how you could, man. That thing is so cool. Like, but let's talk about diameter in wheels versus.
Real quick, do you want to know something really funny that I thought about the other day?
Uh-oh.
So think about Fanatec's wheels, right? How they have the pin system, okay, on their quick release. So you have to set in the pin system, right? And then the wheel sits there, right? SimiCube's wheel, it's free. Like it's free because of the way it's designed. The shaft, you can rotate it any way, right? Like watch. Here's what I'm talking about. So do you see how this wheel is angled right here?
Uh-huh.
Okay. So if I were to take this pin out and smack the wheel off here. There it is. Okay, right? So now the wheel's off, right? So if I rotate this assembly here, you saw the wheel was upright, correct?
Yeah.
Slap this wheel on. And then because it's free rotating assembly, all I have to do is calibrate it real quick like this. And that's it, done. With Fanatec, you couldn't do that because it has a pin system. Because it has a pin system, the wheel has to be straight, like this, to where you put it on like this.
Yeah.
With this, look, I can do this right here. Moza wheel is on. I just click in the software to calibrate it. Moza wheel is now off. I want to switch to my GT wheel. Totally different angle that I'm putting it on. And boom, I just calibrate it.
Wow. So that's why you have...
They show what it looks like in the software.
All I have to do is just calibrate it. Boom.
Were there any other... Oh yeah, back to the original diameters question. So, I remember, you know, with the DD1, we had the blue podium formula wheel. And we did that for a long time. You know, like...
Yeah.
We ran it on ACC. It's the right size for F1 cars. But there was a point where you started... Oh, that's just cool.
I didn't know that it lit up. I didn't know that.
You haven't had this very long, but...
Did you know it lit up? I didn't know it lit up.
No, I didn't either.
How did you let it know?
I didn't know that.
My lens is dirty and it's irritating.
Show them that it's enabled, I guess.
Yeah?
Anyway, back on track. We were running the 275 and the DD1 was running really low. But then we
we had to run it low.
Yeah. But then we got the GT3 with the McLaren, and that's 300.
Yeah.
And at the same time, you turned up the force feedback.
Right.
When that happened, it basically changed your perspective on that.
I think that's what really changed everything for me as terms of wheels. So, a lot of people like to have several wheels. I typically like to have two that can do everything.
I agree with that.
I like to have a road car wheel slash GT wheel.
As long as it has enough
input. As long as it has enough buttons, yep. And then I like to have a LMP slash Formula type wheel. Now, we don't really drive like road cars a lot, but this wheel does it perfect.
Yeah.
And I think to what David's saying is that, like, what was my perspective? How did it change? The day that I was able to turn up the force feedback on a bigger wheel, and I realized how much faster I could get because of the fidelity of the force feedback, and this is on the DD1.
So I'm getting better at directing.
Yeah.
I seen the camera die happening, and I said, "Oh." I put a finger in the air. He wrapped up his point. Back to it. So you were saying bigger diameter. More fidelity.
Bigger diameter has really changed the perspective when we put that McLaren wheel on, just because I was seeing more fidelity, and I was seeing how much a bigger wheel could really change the perspective. Because with that F1 wheel, I mean, if you had it at the same force feedback, your forearms would be screaming, like just straight up, just getting torn apart. So with that being said, bigger on these higher end direct drive wheels like the DD1 and semi-cube and stuff like that. Bigger is definitely better in my opinion, for the sole purpose that you can feel more.
Yeah.
Definitely, you can feel more.
To wrap up, what I was getting at was with the DD1, obviously it's a more mass-produced thing, but if you fine-tune the force feedback now that you've learned about, let's say you stuck with Fanatic and got the GT3 911 GT3R wheel, similar in design to this 320mm D. How confident can you say, if you kept the DD1 and did the same size wheel with those pedals, how confident can you say you would have gotten to your skill level that you've gotten since switching to a bigger wheel? Because the bigger wheel was the changing point, in my opinion, not the DD1 to semi-cube.
I think that I would have gotten. So a lot of people say that like better gear doesn't help, better gear doesn't make you faster.
It makes you more consistent.
It makes you more consistent. For some reason, with the DD1, maybe I've just learned so much coming from a DD1 to here to where the consistency is the key for me on this, and this is making me consistent. The thing with the DD1 is I feel like the amount of fidelity that you feel right out of the box, and maybe a little bit of tuning with the DD1, just didn't compare to this. Like, you imagine, I think immediately, dude, I was putting down lap times that I've never seen before.
Yeah.
But that's just because of how I could feel everything.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that, you know, the DD1 is bad or whatever, don't buy the DD1. I'm just saying in terms of me. The perspective got completely changed for me when I started running on this because of how it felt. I mean, AMS2 did not feel like a worthwhile sim to me. It was
a SimK that we could hop in and bounce from F1
yes.
And it's so easy to do servers and all that stuff.
Yes. Yeah. Until we got to the semi-cube.
Yeah, no, for sure.
The semi-cube made AMS2 a contender, and it made it feel like a real simulator to me. So, yes, to answer your question, I probably could have gotten to this point now that I am at with the semi-cube, yes, but the fidelity just wasn't there for me on the DD1. There's a reason why when they asked if semi-cube is releasing the semi-cube 3 yet, that semi-cube said, no, we have no plans for a semi-cube 3.
Yeah.
All they said was, we're going to continue updating the software for this. And I don't blame them, man. I don't blame them.
Alright, so personally, I definitely believe. Now I'm not gonna get into Fanatics pedal stuff and all that, but I genuinely do believe, and I'm only bringing this up because I had a commenter bringing it up, like, hey, what do you think? I genuinely believe that the DD1 with the D shape, you can be a legit contender with that.
Of course. I will say that Fanatic has the ecosystem though on this stuff.
Yeah, it's a more specialized product, but
don't think that just because you don't have a semi-cube or a VRS Direct Pro or a SimMagic Alpha or whatever that you can't be a contender. I have people on G923s that are probably running me.
Yeah.
You're
the DD2 went on sale Black Friday.
$800.
And we're both Porsche fans, but I was like, damn, knowing what we know now with bigger diameter and
with the RSR
and GT3 RSR has the screen on it.
GT3R.
I'm like, damn, that DD1, that DD2 with the 300 with the 911 GT3R wheel,
looking enticing.
Bad combo. But again, we're not gonna talk too much about their pedals because that's the biggest difference. Though the V3 inverteds are pretty good.
Yeah, the V3s are great pedals. I had them for a while. They're fantastic. They really are fantastic. That's the first pedal set that I ever had that actually had a really nice clutch. Really nice clutch. Really good brake with the performance kit. The gas is a little...
Now,
they're good pedals.
The gas isn't as smooth as that.
Right.
But it feels longer like that, but it's not as smooth. It's not as smooth as the V3s.
Right.
And it's not as long as
the Sprints.
Yeah.
Yep, I agree.
But
they have an ecosystem.
The ecosystem is great.
They have an ecosystem.
Appreciate you guys, man. Chopping it up with us. We're gonna keep doing these racing videos. I'm working on getting iRacing dialed in. Me, him, and George, we gonna keep pushing to do these racing. He just got his ranking up in iRacing. I'm gonna get some B-roll for the conversation. It's his rig. I'm gonna get B-roll of him driving. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, comment your dream setup. For me right now, and it changes from day to day sometimes. I'm really feeling the Invicta Forte lineup.
I am too.
With the Mecha pedals.
I feel that.
GT Omega is but I like the SimLab stuff. I really like SimLab, and I really like Next Level Racing. But with that being said, stay tuned. We got more videos coming. Apex Vision out.